It's only January, but I'm already thinking of November. Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of Graphic Content. I'm your host Ted Kendrick, and today we're talking about November. It's an original graphic novel by Matt Fraction with arts by Elsa Charretier and colors by Matt Hollingsworth. Matt Fraction has written a lot for Marvel Comics on books like Hawkeye and Fantastic Four. He's known for his work on Image Comics with Sex Criminals with art by Chip Zdarsky, and currently writing Jimmy Olsen for DC Comics. Elsa Charretier, the artist here on November, is known for doing work on Star Wars Adventures for IDW and her original book Infinite Loop. And Matt Hollingsworth, I just want to give a shout out to as a colorist for his beautiful flat color work here in this book. He also worked with Matt Fraction on Hawkeye. So it's an incredible art team here in this original graphic novel. It is part 1 of 3. So part of it does set up more to come in the future, so it is pretty mysterious in that regard, and not all is complete here in this first story. But that's okay. I will be honest, I didn't realize that when I was first reading it, and it was volume 1 and volume 2 was on the way. I wasn't really sure how much they connect because what I saw online didn't really lead me to think so, but it is apparently clear that the events of part 1 and part 4 of this book will lead on in the future installations. So I should say there are 4 chapters in this book. Each one is focused on a different character. Now there are 3 women in the first 3 chapters who are all sort of intertwined in witnessing this criminal aspect going on in their city. The first one is the girl on the roof. She's crippled, just looking for work. She ends up taking this gig with this police officer, asks her if she will decipher the crossword puzzle every single day and then decode a message from it and broadcast those letters on the radio to no fail. She asks him what will happen if someone doesn't do their job, and he answers that it's going to be the end of the world. So that could be if she doesn't do her side of the job, or if the code person doesn't put it in that week's newspaper. Either way, something bad's going to happen if that sort of OCD style task isn't completed daily. So it's a really interesting sort of character study into this woman. She might be suffering from some sort of disease. It's obvious that she's sharing needles and doing drugs and hiring prostitutes and stuff like that. She's not leading a very healthy life, and she seems traumatized for something that happened in it. This woman is just trying to save the world, which is a pure intention considering how sort of dirty she's been living. It ends with her failing to do a code. The end of the world happens. People barge to her home and chase her out, and as this all unfolds, we sort of loosely fade into the second chapter. It's all sort of non-linear. It's the kind of thing, this whole book, you have to really piece together once you've completed it to really figure out where and when each part of it happened. But the second chapter involves a woman finding a gun in a puddle in the alleyway. Well, it starts off with some really beautiful pages of her just making her way through the city, through public transit, walking through the streets. Honestly, some of the most beautiful pages of the book. So this woman finds a gun in a puddle right outside of her apartment. She calls the police to report it. It's raining. She's out there with the groceries, and the police operator, we don't really hear what they say in this chapter, but it's implied that, like, yeah, stay with the gun. We're going to send people over. We're going to take care of it, you know, but we need you to stay by the crime scene and wait till someone arrives. So she's out there kind of feeling like an idiot because what if the person who left the gun comes back for it? It's really just this ordinary person in this really noir situation, and it's actually inspired by true events. Writer Matt Fraction lives with his wife Kelly Sue, who's another famous comic book writer known for her work for Marvel on Captain Marvel, currently writing Aquaman for DC. It was Kelly Sue who actually finds the gun outside of their apartment. There was a police chase that ended up right in their driveway. It was a manhunt that ended up in an armed standoff, and as they were cleaning it up, because they left it up to the Fraction family to clean up after them, Kelly Sue found a gun in the bushes. So Matt Fraction has based this chapter off of these real life events that happened to him and his family. In this chapter, as the woman is staying there waiting for the police to arrive, they do arrive, but we quickly learn, oh, it's corrupt police that left the gun, and they take the girl, and it's still pretty ambiguous as to what happened to this girl, which we'll get into chapter 4, but chapter 3, we actually follow a character who's deeply involved in the police station. She's a dispatcher there. She's taking 911 calls all day, answering them pretty frantically. She's working like not a double shift, but like a triple shift. She's been there for so many hours in a row with no breaks, just chugging coffee, trying to get it through it. So she's kind of starting to slip in terms of following the details, and it's really the details that could help or hurt someone in an emergency situation. The woman from chapter 2 calls, and this is the person we now know that is speaking talking with her as she's on the other line. The corrupt policemen end up interrupting this phone call as they take the girl and reveal that they handled the situation, whatever that means. But it's pretty clear that the corrupt cop have no disregard for their dispatchers. Whatever chain of command they might have to stop any corruption like that is just lost. And that's chapter 3, another really cool character. Chapter 4 goes back to the girl on the roof from chapter 1. She is talking to the police officers, not the same corrupt one, it's a different guy. He's called the Thief. We kind of follow this guy's career as he started in the police office. He's always talking about what happens if you contaminate evidence or take evidence. There's like a pair of dirty panties that he's interested in. It's pretty pervy stuff. But as he's like thinking about his first day of the job with like the current day, and also how he's hired this woman to decode the crossword puzzle and put it on public radio, it's almost implied that he's messed up the day. Either he's messed up the code in the radio or the woman's messed up broadcasting it. But I think that this guy ends up getting killed for it. Whatever job this police officer had to do, it doesn't work out for him, and he might be this body that we see thrown over this bridge in a body bag. It's very clear that someone gets thrown into the river, and that's kind of the end of the world. For me, after finishing it, I went back and reread it again, just trying to really pinpoint when did things happen, what order did they happen, which chapters reference other chapters, and in what ways do they do it. And in the 4th chapter especially, even the coloring methods is used to really differentiate time periods on the same page. They might be really similar scenes, but colored in a slightly different way so that you know, oh, this is taking place in a different time period. It almost looks like the thief officer is talking to himself, like an experienced version of himself is talking to his rookie first day on the job version. And that's a really awesome dynamic. There's a lot of things that Matt Fraction does in the writing of the script. Well, I haven't read the script, but I assume because of the nature of the comic, he knows that this is the type of story that can only be told in comic books because of the way they use these sort of panel constructs to really tell this story that bleeds across time in a way that I don't think a film, TV show, or even a novel really could. And Elsa Charretier has become, I'm sure I didn't say that name right. I say people's names wrong all the time. I'm so sorry, Elsa. She is at the top of her game here, and I cannot wait to see what type of work that she puts out the next couple of years. Reminded me of the new Darwyn Cooke or something along those lines. Her line work is perfectly clear, deep shadows and negative space in a way that is just really amazing. So if you're a fan of Darwyn Cooke, the Bruce Timm sort of animated style aesthetic, I think you're going to really enjoy this November book as well. That's all I'll say for that. I think part 2 is coming out in May and part 3 in September 2020, and I think that's all there is for the series. So at least by the end of the year, we'll have a very full idea if there are other plot threads to pick up on. But for now, this is what we got, and it's a really amazing start. I think it's kind of flown over the radar for how popular writer Matt Fraction is. So I'm hoping to get a lot more eyes on this book and to give it a try if you think this might be the kind of thing you'd enjoy. November. Check it out. Well, I've got you. We're going to do a little lightning round. Been doing this on the last couple of episodes of mine where I just bring up another couple books that I might not do a full episode about anyway, especially since this is only one of the last couple episodes. I keep saying that and we keep having more, but the show is wrapping up pretty soon. So we're going to do this little lightning round just to kind of get through some stuff that I've been reading lately and I'd still like to recommend. This week, we're going to focus on Batman. Most recently, been reading The Batman's Grave. This is written by Warren Ellis with art by Brian Hitch. This team is known for working together on The Authority in the early days of Wildstorm comics. The Authority really broke the mold of what superhero comics could do and had one of the first mainstream gay couples in Apollo and Midnighter, which were kind of Superman and Batman knockoffs. Batman's Grave book has been a lot of fun because Warren Ellis, you can tell, he's giving a lot of space for Brian Hitch to really flow during the fight scenes especially. The dialogue takes back. There's some fight scenes with no word balloons on them at all. That is to say, Warren Ellis, I'm sure, really enjoys a comic script page where he doesn't have to have any word balloons on there. Makes it easier as a writer. But then when he does, the writing itself is really good. There's a really interesting mystery going on here as well, involving mutagens and the sort of sci-fi noir aspect that we all love and know from Batman comics. So he writes a really good Alfred too. I'll leave it at that. His Alfred's really witty. There was a moment where Batman asks Alfred, he's like, how can you always be around all the time, greeting me in Batcave and making all this food I never eat and all this stuff? And Alfred's like, it's because I'm wired to the gills on fine cocaine, sir. I'm really surprised that made it into a Batman comic. It's canon now. It's a 12-issue series. Issue number 4 is the most recent one that's out, so it's got a few more months left in it. I've also read the regular Batman comic, number 86. This is the start of a new creative team, spearheaded by John Tynion IV. This one had art by Tony Daniel. He is an amazing artist who is known for working with Grant Morrison on Batman R.I.P. James Tynion IV has been doing some of the Justice League books with Scott Snyder. He's been writing all the Legion of Doom issues. And he's also been working on Justice League Dark, that main comic. So James Tynion has been really working hard in comics the last couple of years, and now they've given him the Batman title, which is a huge honor. I'm sure he's going to be on this to at least issue 100. Pretty seamless place for a transition, or at least a new direction. I don't know if I'm going to keep reading it till then. I kind of had a love-hate relationship with Tom King's Batman up to the end through City of Bane, and I am really excited for Batman and Catwoman series, especially since it features Phantasm, but I was left kind of disappointed with City of Bane. This first issue is interesting because we see Batman and Catwoman's dynamic now that they're married officially. Their pasts are kind of catching up to each other. So Catwoman, they're going back to her first grand scheme. There's the grand designer who's looking to sort of recreate Gotham City in their own images. Bruce Wayne is investing a lot of money into infrastructure, rebuilding parts of Gotham after Bane took a lot of it down. So there's a lot of growth and a lot of like secrets between Batman and Catwoman that are going to come back to haunt them. So it's interesting enough to see where it goes. I hate to say that I don't feel like it matters, because I don't think that's an element of comics that should matter if the book matters or not. In the grand scheme of, oh, is this going to be like a big highlight for the character? Maybe. Good Batman story is a good Batman story, but maybe I'm just tired of it. I'm probably not going to read any more past issue number 86, but that's just me personally. So yeah, I guess I'll end it on sort of a downer note this episode. I'm just not super convinced yet that this is a Batman book that I need to be reading, when I'm already reading other books like The Batman's Grave, Curse of the White Knight. But yeah, so this has been Graphic Content. Thanks for joining me for another week. If you've liked this video and want to see other stuff that we do here at the Watchtower Database, you can see my backlog episodes with 12th Level Intellects. That was a podcast that we ran here for 2 years. I'm the writer on the Legacies of the DCAU webcomic that is on legacieSDCAU.com. We just recently put out issue number 9, which features the Justice League of 2019 that I kind of created myself, which has some cool characters that you might not have seen together on the leak before. There's also a Patreon page. We have a lovely list of subscribers here. These are people who support us every month and help us do these type of videos more often. We're gearing up to sort of rework the type of videos we do for this channel in the near future. They're all going to be sort of the best of the best topics that we can do for fans of the DC animated universe and beyond. We're looking to branch out on other topics as well. So let us know what you'd like to see. We're always looking for new ideas what to do, whether it's about the DCAU or otherwise. That's kind of what this show's been all about. Oh, my lights are dimming. That's a cue for me to leave. Let us know what you want to see, and we're going to do our best to bring it to you. This has been Graphic Content. I'm Ted Kendrick. I'll see you again in 2 weeks. Thanks.